Good morning. How does life become so complicated? And why does living in a van feel like the opposite of complicated? I think that we learn about complications very early in our lives. Even I'm thinking about kindergarten, but even before that, if you have brothers, sisters, maybe, yeah, it was complicated then too. But, in kindergarten, you start making friends, and there's always drama. I can remember were three of us, three girls, and um, three's a crowd. And so it was either two and one or two and one. It was always that way. And life doesn't get any less complicated as time goes on because things just keep adding up and piling on. Throughout, high school, things got even more complicated. As the more you learn, the worse it got. And then you get into adult life, and oh my goodness, it just got crazy, didn't it? It really did. It got crazy. All of the stuff. You think back of all of the stuff. It was just crazy. So the question here would become, which would you rather do? Fix your life or drive away from it? Well, for me, it became drive away from it. And I think that van life was a good way to escape, and it did represent freedom. But there were some things that I mean, if you think about what you have going on in your life right now, you know, I had a house and a marriage, daughter, two grandkids, a business. I taught classes, I spoke at places, ministry. The list just goes on and on and on. And you may be happy as anything and have absolutely no complications and no drama in your life, but it was not that way for me. And I don't think it's that way for a lot of people. We have too much drama, too many things that it needs our attention every single day. Things that cause us stress, things that cause us, anxiety. I love my daughter very much. And there are still things that cause us conflict. And she was a great kid, never gave us any problems at all. But still, there was always something that was, especially as she got older, it was something that maybe just caused a little bit of conflict. You know what I mean? Your whole life is like that. If you think about it, you may have the greatest job in the world. You get up in the morning, you can't wait to go there. But if you think about it honestly, there are things about that job that cause you stress. I don't think we were born to live in stressful lives, anxiety, and all of the stuff and in this world that we live in right now, there is so much stuff going in, noise and a cacophony of different things, and people talking and shouting and carrying on, and it just becomes even more complicated every single day. At least that's how it was for me. So I had to make a choice, and you may have to make this one too. And again, van life, it did represent freedom, but it wasn't until I got on the road that I could ever explain that to anybody. And then I probably can't do a very good job at it. But I had to choose if I wanted to. Do you have a house? How many things are broken? I had to choose whether or not I wanted to fix all the things in my house or get rid of it, which would be better. These are decisions that I had to make, and these are decisions that you may have to make too. I had to decide about my business. People say, well, I have too many responsibilities. I can't do this. Well, there's really, I learned several years ago, there's no such thing as the word can't. It's I choose not to, is what you're actually saying. Your responsibility. I had all of those things I listed. I also had debt. Those are things that are, can you walk away from? Can you escape from? A lot of decisions had to be made. And if you want to live on the road, then you can't make those excuses. You actually have to make the decisions. Do you want to fix the things you have, or do you want to see if van life is really the freedom that it represents? For me, the actual answer to that is I escaped. I escaped life. I drove away. I watched it go in my rearview mirror. And there were so many reasons for that. But, and I don't mean to get all crazy melodramatic and philosophy this morning, but you only have one life. And if you live it for other people, then maybe that's what you want to do. But if you live it for other people instead of for yourself, then there's going to come a time that you're going to look in the mirror and say, life just passed me by. I tried to fix things over and over and over until I got to be 65. And I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. There are too many things to fix. I don't have enough Scotch tape anymore. And freedom was represented to me by living in a van. So I made the decision, drove away, and is really van life something that you can call freedom? Now, when you live in a van, if you stay in campgrounds, then forgive me if I offend you if you do that. But for me, staying in a campground is just other problems because you have neighbors. Like I'm at a great place right now, and I came here yesterday and there was nobody around, and then some guy this morning drove in right over there beside me, and I may just drive away because I like the freedom of going outside, doing all my stuff, and not having interference from anybody. Think about it. Do you want to fix everything that's in your life that's causing you to not be free, or do you want to run away? Drive away, escape, I don't care. You could any way you want to say it. And again, I escaped. I drove away. I ran away. And then people will say, well, your problems follow you. That is not actually true. If you are in conflict every day with relationships at work and just acquaintances you have, and you remove yourself from those situations, then they don't follow you. This is as simple as that. They don't. I think that living in a van and traveling around the United States is freedom. I don't have the anxiety. I don't have the problems. I don't have the stress because I chose to not fix those anymore, but to remove myself from those situations. People will say, I can't because of money. That's a big one that I hear people say. And, for me, it was the same. I had to think about, well, how am I going to survive if I move into a van? I've done videos on that too. And the biggest problem I had, and the biggest problem most people have, I believe, is the things that you bring with you from your life. Things like health insurance and your debt that you have. Those things will follow you. There's no way to actually get around that unless you want to just walk away from your debt. And I know people who do that too. And whatever works for you. You do leave so much behind though, because you remove yourself from those situations. So is van life really freedom? Well, you have your day-to-day things, just like I just said, the guy moved in next door here. I have had so many house flies in here from parking here. You have things to deal with just the same, but I can remove myself from the situation. I can just drive away. I've been fly swatting. Get rid of all the flies. So for me, yeah, van life does represent freedom, and it is freedom for me. I started at 65. Do I wish I would have started at 40, 50? Live in freedom. There's a lot of people who live on the road, a lot of people who live out in the woods, a lot of people that have gotten away from the hustle and bustle of life and the anxiety and the stress. And, I don't think there's anything the matter with that. You can feel guilty about it all you want, but, or you can, you can tell other people that they shouldn't be doing it. But no, freedom. Yeah. I was done fixing my life, 65 years old, can't fix them, removing myself from the situation, and I drove away. And so, what about you? Are you going to keep on fixing your life, or are you ready to drive away? So, thank you this morning for joining me in my van life mini talk. And remember, if you want to watch my Dream to Drive series, which I'm getting great rave reviews on, actually. So, thank you for that. Then the link is in the description below. Also, you have the opportunity to book a one-on-one van life session with me, and I'll talk to you about freedom and how to get rid of the things in your life right now so that you can have that freedom. So anyway, I hope y'all have a blessed day, and I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to become freer and move away from that guy that moved in beside of me, or I'm just going to get over it. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks. Have a great day.